Hello again. I'm back with Dave Wilkonsen from HIMS Incorporated, and he's got some devices he's going to share with us. And Dave, you'd like to start?
Sure. Jeff, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here. And just to explain briefly the relationship between HIMS and with Jim with Vision Aid Systems. He is our local distributor. Our office is out of Austin, Texas. So I am here to show our products, but when you're looking at getting them, by all means, get in touch with Jim Fortman and not with me.
Good, very good.
So,
good to know.
The products that we have here are a couple of different models of a product called the BrailleSense U2. This is our latest note taker. It's been out for a little over a year. You'll notice that you've got one that has a Braille keyboard, and then in front of it here we have one that has a computer keyboard. The one that has a computer keyboard I have a little monitor plugged into, which is a portable visual display, and we'll get back to that in a moment.
Okay.
And over to the left is the U2 Mini. All of these have the exact same set of features. They're simply a difference in size. This unit is an 18-cell Braille display versus the other two being 32 cells. The other product that we have here that we'll get into a little bit is a product called the Braille Edge, which is a 40-cell Braille display. And the primary difference between the Braille display and a note taker is that the Braille display doesn't have a whole lot of other functions. I'm going to be hooking it up to my iPad, my iPhone, my Android device to be able to read off the screen. Whereas my note taker, as we're about to see, I can do all kinds of things on the note taker itself, and I can also branch out and look at my iPad, computer, iPhone, external device.
Sure.
So we'll start by looking at the BrailleSense U2, and one of the things that teachers in particular like about this is it has a built-in visual display, so that you will see, as I'm moving along here, you're seeing file manager, word processor, email, and not that your students would ever do this, but it will allow you to actually see what your students are doing. We would like to think that they're always being attentive and studious, but that is possibly not always the case.
Students will be students, won't it?
Exactly. So it also helps out if a student runs into difficulties with a word, you know, if they're just not sure what something is, or to help them out with work in the classroom. So as I'm writing here, and I'm writing with speech turned off at the moment, so I'm going to turn speech on.
Voice on.
And one thing I noticed also with that LCD screen is that it actually is forward-facing. So if somebody's standing in front of you, you actually read it.
Correct. Right. You don't have to read it over a student's shoulders. The other beauty of that is that I could plug a USB keyboard into the BrailleSense U2, and if I am working with a deaf-blind person, I can have a face-to-face conversation with the deaf-blind person using this. So, and I can also flip that display around.
Okay.
But so now I can write.
Good. Morning period. It is great to be here period.
This is the same basic device, except that I am using a computer keyboard. And I'm assuming, although I guess it's never fair to completely assume, that folks are familiar with the concept of refreshable Braille. And in case they're not, as you're looking along here, these dots are bouncing up and down, so that you are literally refreshing the screen. So for anyone who's new to the field, that's what we're talking about with refreshable Braille. One of the really cool things that you can do with this is I've got a Bookshare built-in search that I can use, so that if I've got a book that I'm looking for on Bookshare, and I'm sure most of our folks are familiar with Bookshare, I have my username and password already programmed in here. And again, I could have speech going with this, but we have it turned off because if I'm in a classroom, I'm not going to be needing speech. And I can look for virtually any book that I want. Search word, we'll look for, I have no idea what students are reading. They're probably still reading The Hunger Games, so we'll put in Hunger Games. And it's going to look for a list of books that are available on Bookshare. And we find it, hey, there we go, The Hunger Games trilogy. So it's an immensely easy way to be able to find a book, to be able to download it, and now if I just hit enter on the Hunger Games trilogy, I start to download the Hunger Games trilogy. You are able to use external devices. And to that end, I can control my
Maps.
iPad. So
Tap to open.
now I'm hooked up to my iPad, and I can move wherever I want to go.
iTunes Store. App Store. Game Center.
And I'm controlling that from my, now I could obviously mute the speech,
Settings. Newsstand.
but in this instance,
FaceTime.
we are,
Page 1 of 3. Dock.
I can change my pages.
Page 2 of 3.
Dave, I see we have your iPhone out here, and how can you interact with that?
I live off my iPhone. A lot of what I do for work involves travel around North America, and so I'm oftentimes using this in conjunction with my iPhone. And what we have open at the moment is just a document in Pages. I could have used a number of different word processors.
Space. M. Space. In. Space. Space.
Not the most original writing in the world, but we have, hello, I'm writing in Pages. Cool, huh? And so at this point, I can write using my Braille Sense keyboard. I can have the speech turned on or off, and I can totally see what's going on the iPhone screen on my Braille Sense. So I can go down, I can save this.
Done. Button. Undo. Done. Button. Hello. I am writing in Pages. Cool, huh? Text field. Tools. Button.
And now I can save this to something like Dropbox.
Done. Share and find. Share and print. Share and print. Tools. Back button. Share
And as you're doing that, we're actually seeing it on the screen as well.
Send a copy.
Now I'm
Wonderful.
going to send a copy.
Send a copy. Hello. I am writing in Pages. Send a copy. Hello. I am writing in
So now
Pages.
I could just text this, or I could send this by email to wherever I wanted it to go. So I could text this to my teacher, or I could send it by email. All I would need to do to be able to go back to my email address.
Choose a format. Send a copy. Choose a Pages. Button. PDF. Button.
So I could send this as a PDF. I could send this as a Pages file. I could send this as a Word file,
Hub. Button.
as an EPUB file. I could also send this to Dropbox, where I could also download it on my Braille Sense. So what I'm wanting to be able to show here is that I've got complete control over my iPhone or my iPad with my Braille Sense. And now I could use this for something like Read to Go, which is the app again from Bookshare. And I'm double tapping, and all I'm doing to double tap is using my cursor routers above. It gives you the option of either using a standalone device where you have 100% guaranteed accessibility built in, or it allows you to connect to a mainstream device where you may or may not have different levels of help built in. When you're spending a couple of dollars on an app, you're not going to be getting a comprehensive help system. So it lets you flip back and forth between using something that you know is going to give you help all along the way, or something that your friends and compatriots are using.
Sure.
And it lets you decide which one you want to use and when you want to use it.
And that will also work with the Android device
This
as
will
well?
work with your iPhone, iPods, iPads, Android devices, Mac, PC, you name it.
Well, very good. Well, thank you for bringing the products along. I really appreciate your time and your demonstration. And as we wind down today, I do want to remind you that on the Patins website, under our vendor contacts, we have a vendor page, and actually Jim's material are there. You can take a look at it. We have a product highlight, and take a look and see what we have. For Dave and Jim, I'd like to say thank you and goodbye for Patins TV today.
All right, thank you.